Let's get this party started. The good kind of parties, though. Today, we're going to talk about something that seems so basic and so normal, so practical, but something that's also been just very lost in our culture, and something that, well, it's been lost, but because it's so basic, it also can be recovered and elevated to this beautiful, beautiful level. What I'm talking about meals. I'm not talking about eating food per se. I'm talking about meals together with a community. Here's the thing. Family and community meals used to be a really, really just taken for granted thing. Everybody knew that, at least at dinner time, the family would eat together and be great. Or if you don't live with your family, it was some type of community. But then again, when meals were taken for granted, community meals were taken for granted, also usually you're with a family of some sort. Today's day and age, that has been lost. And even if people are sometimes eating together, there's always this distraction, whether it's the phone, whether it's probably phone, TV, something like that. And it's just, there's not this aspect of community anymore. And community is so, so key to man's life. I'm going to read from the Catechism a little bit, because I love the Catechism, if you haven't noticed, if you've seen other videos. It'll kind of make more sense after I continue to speak about community and meals and everything. Socialization also expresses the natural tendency for human beings to associate with one another for the sake of attaining objectives that exceed individual capacities. It develops the qualities of the person, especially the sense of initiative and responsibility, and helps guarantee his rights. What's all that mean? And that was paragraph 1882 in the Catechism. And if you go back to 1879, you read that the human person needs to live in society. It's a requirement of his nature. So, along with that, community meals. It's actually a really easy way to make sure you're living in society. Now, let's get into a little more thing about just in general. So, I'm taking a lot of this stuff from a book called The Hungry Soul. I'm at college and I don't have the book with me. It's in my house, but I have notes. So, we're just going to go with it. First and foremost, there's something that I think a lot of us, especially like my generation, and people just have developed it at this point, but a fear of commitment. People don't want to commit to something because of FOMO, so they don't necessarily want to commit to a community meal because they're afraid they're missing out on something else going on, whether it's something at a friend's house, whether it's just a party going on, or even here at college, it's like, well, if I commit to one table, then what am I missing at the other table? Or if it's at work, if I commit to this table to be with these people for this amount of time, I'm going to be missing out with the other people. What are they going to think of me? So there's this fear of commitment, and having this just disciplined community meal, family meal, can kind of build that sense of commitment, build that sense of discipline, and the responsibility that the Catechism is talking about. Another thing with meals is that, unlike when you're just grabbing something from Chipotle, grabbing something from Chick-fil-A or Panera or whatever, is it takes, or just kind of making your own just quick meal on your own at home by yourself, if the family is like not eating together, we're all just eating at like 5 different random times, is it takes conscious intent planning. Once again, that's the developing the qualities of the person, developing responsibility and initiative and maturity. It takes planning to plan out a meal. I mean, just looking at my mom, and when she has to make dinner for all 10 of us, it's just kind of, it takes early in the day, what am I going to make for dinner? And what time do I need to start? What time is dad getting home? So we need to just kind of working all these things out, and it takes conscious intent planning to do these kind of things, which another thing I think people are lacking is the ability to have structure and plan something out, from a project out from start to finish, and complete it. So those are kind of like two basic things, but then the next point is I don't want to say I think, because it is probably the most important, because it's key to the meal. Because yes, the meal, you're sitting down, you're having it, hopefully it's good food. The food is important, and it's kind of like a meal, you're expecting to get food, but it's not the central thing. It's kind of secondary because the food food brings people together as a community, but then it fosters conversation because it's awkward. Unless you're in a monastery, it's awkward if you're all sitting there and it's dead silent. Silence isn't a bad thing, but when there's like 10 people around the table or 5 people around the table and you're just dead silent, it feels awkward. But not even just that, conversation, men are meant to communicate with each other, and so conversation is so key to having this solid community time, this solid community meal. Conversation comes from the Latin word conversare, which means to turn oneself about, to turn towards the other. You're focusing on another person or the other people so that it's taking you out of yourself and you're focusing on another person. It's less self-centered and everything like that. It's a dialogue, 2 people involved, not just a monologue where I'm the only one talking. You're turning to the other person and you're sharing life together. Who knows what you're talking about? You could be talking about just how was your day. You could be talking about some deep philosophical topic. I don't know, but you're sharing life together. All relationships start with eye contact, and so it's key that you're making eye contact with these people as you're turning yourself about. Another thing is I've been saying dinner a lot because, a lot of times breakfast or lunch, it's kind of just boom, we gotta get going, which is another just totally, meals should be taken with, not slowly, but just, they should be received with thanksgiving as, it's either 1st or 2nd Timothy, I forget, but they should be received with thanksgiving and joy, and so the fact that we kind of rush through certain meals is, it's part of the problem. But that's why I'm focusing on dinner, because dinner's a lot of the times, unless of course you're running off to sports, which is, yes, once again, another part of the problem, it should be taken with leisure and just kind of wasting time. Being together, wasting time together, just living a life of leisure. We don't live leisurely. That's a whole nother conversation about leisure. But Leisure, the Basis of Culture is a good book. Hopefully when it's at home, but hopefully I'll be able to do something on that later. But just wasting time together, not having a plan. The planning came before. The planning for the meal came before. So now that we're enjoying the meal together, now we're enjoying the fruits of our labor, it's just time to relax and slow down, not plan together, just talk together. And so all this conversation, whether it's how was your day, or what's the meaning of life, whatever end of the spectrum it happens to be, it should foster friendship. And friendship is so important to human life. It's necessary. It's one of the greatest goods on this earth is relationship and friendship, because God is a trinity. God is a relationship between 3 persons. Friendship reflects that. Family reflects that. And so conversation, hopefully, as you're sharing life together, is building up this friendship. Is building a friendship. Of course, it takes a lot of discernment and and there are different levels of friendship and everything, but it should develop some type of relationship. That's really one of the endpoints of having a meal together. And this is really interesting living at college because, I'm not with my family, so my family needs to become my friends here. It means leaving my room to go spend time with other people and go have a community meal at the cafeteria rather than just saying, no, I'm going to stay here and just kind of zone in. And I need to work. No, I'm taking time to go to the cafeteria, sit down, have a meal with my friends, talk with them, how was your day, that kind of thing. And it takes self-sacrifice sometimes and responsibility and all these things, and builds maturity. Hopefully it's building maturity and you're building holiness, growing in holiness because of it. This quote that I'm going to read builds off of the idea of, or what I was talking about, just friendship. Dining is both excellent in itself, so having a meal and you're eating food, and a token of something more. Its amiability anticipates friendship, its free speech anticipates pursuit of truth, or philosophy, and its beauty or nobility promises and beckons the good. That kind of just summarizes what I was talking about in general. It just kind of summarizes, brings everything together. Family meals and community meals have been lost in our society. Too often it's just become heat up a cold pizza, sit on the couch after a long day of work and watch the game or watch the news. We need to reclaim meals. We need to take the time to be uncomfortable, because it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable a lot of times. Take the time to be uncomfortable, to plan it out, and to sit down and have a meal together. No phones, no technology, just in-person presence. After this long thing of quarantine and everything like that, hopefully that has kind of been built back up, but you know, we're just trying day by day to bring back the culture of family, because without the if the family falls apart, society falls apart. John Paul II said that, and I think it's pretty obvious that that's kind of what's happening, or that that is what's happening. Community meals, bring them back. Reclaim meals. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it helps you to just figure out how to live a better life as a solid Catholic, as a solid Christian, or even just as a solid person. I encourage you to watch some of my other videos, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, feelings, desires, just put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to respond to them. Thank you for watching, and as always, get holy and have fun doing it.